Day 3 of exposing black history because it literally didn't even happen. We've all heard about the slave trade in school, right? You had these Europeans running around the jungle, snatching up Africans, taking them across the ocean away from their black brothers and sisters who they were living with together in perfect harmony. Yeah, I had to watch Roots too. Problem is, it literally never happened. Nobody had to go out of their way to find slaves in Africa. They were already there waiting in slave markets that were set up by African kingdoms which had been running for almost 1,000 years. But even when you look at the map of where these slaves were going, you've got all this movement going to South America, you've got some movement in the Caribbean, then you got a little bit of movement, a little bit making its way up there to America. Apparently that's the one we're all supposed to talk about. Literally only 2 to 5% of these slaves ended up in America, but we're the only country that has to apologize for our history when we were just doing what everybody else was doing, except way less. And yeah, it's our fault that Africans were establishing these markets to sell each other off in the first place. Before we had the transatlantic slave trade, we had the trans-Saharan slave trade, where these same kingdoms would sell African slaves to different Muslim countries in the Middle East, which, by the way, would famously castrate their African slaves, which is why today you don't have black populations in those countries. So the only thing that actually changed for the Africans was that instead of sending out other Africans across the desert, now they're just going out in boats. And the trade itself was mainly focused on an exchange of goods. African kingdoms would take the captured men and women from weaker and rival tribes, they would load them out on boats, and in exchange they were given various trade goods. What they valued most of all, though, apparently were guns and liquor, and apparently liquor especially. Apparently they wouldn't even bother talking to the Europeans unless they were given rum first. So this slave trade would go on until the early 1800s, until Britain and America both decided that they were going to make it illegal to trade slaves from Africa. And the Africans did not exactly like this. Kingdoms like Dahomey, the one that the Netflix people made that Black Queen Girl Boss movie about, yeah, that one, they continued to just trade slaves against the ban. So Britain staged the West African Naval Squadron specifically for the job of trying to stop Africans from enslaving each other, selling other Africans to places all over the world. And Britain spent decades trying diplomacy, helping the Kingdom of Dahomey to stop raiding and attacking other Africans, to get slaves by talking with their king, Gezo. The conversations basically went something like this: "Ahoy, it's me, a British guy. We find the practice of slavery to be quite not cool. Are you interested in palm oil? We could help you out with that." "Yes, hello, it's me, a black guy. No thanks." So this song and dance would kind of go on as such until the French would go to war with the Kingdom of Dahomey, put down their army of black queens with some of the most lopsided casualty reports of all time, and then finally make it so Africans stopped enslaving other Africans. Truth matters. I love black people.